Hello, I'm the CommanderZander. I remember until the nostalgia critic doesn't have to, and neither should you. And this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Yeah, right. Worldwide leader in sports, my ass. If you were the worldwide leader in sports, you'd be covering all the sports. And in case you haven't figured this out, that's what my editorial is for today. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. My ass. They should rename their motto, ESPN, the worldwide leader in being biased about popular sports, because that's all they cover nowadays. When football season's on, we talk about football. Hell, even when football's done, we talk about football. Then basketball season, we talk about basketball. In baseball season, we talk about baseball. Of course, that's in the time span between basketball and football. And then we really talk about hockey, or soccer, or NASCAR, or any other sport that you give a fuck about. Because ESPN works that way. They are lame, pathetic buffoons when it comes to their stuff. Oh, and by the way, their highlights, they really show all the teams. The few times they show hockey highlights, go figure, the popular teams, the teams that we come to know, or the freaking market basis. So yeah, if you're the worldwide leader in sports, then how come you don't cover every team in every sport in freaking America? Or other countries if you give a crap about soccer over there. I'll tell you what gets your ratings up. And it's the same reason that I ripped the Weather Channel for their ratings being as high as they are. It's because of your female anchors. It's an excuse for the guys to have their manly moment, if you will. Which is why we have so many YouTube postings of sports center female anchors, because that's what guys fantasize. It's all about fantasizing about being with that female anchor that you absolutely enjoy. That's how ESPN gets their freaking ratings. It's just like with the Weather Channel and their stinking ratings. And I personally mean that. I have watched ESPN long enough to know this crap. Just like I watched the Weather Channel long enough to know that crap. And as far as the motto goes, here's what I need to do. Here's what ESPN should do if I were them. Change the freaking motto. Because, quite frankly, you're not the worldwide leader in sports. Or, if you want to stick with that motto, then cover every freaking sport. It's just like with ABC Family and when I ranted about them and why they're a family-oriented channel when they were showing a bunch of drama stuff. And look what happened to them. Not too long after I made that editorial, they changed their channel name to Freeform. Meaning that they'll show all kinds of stuff. See? Now that makes a lot more sense. And now I hope that this message will allow ESPN to think the way ABC Family had to think. And that you will change your motto or you will cover a lot more sports. Oh, and by the way, it's not just the channel itself, it's the website too. Seriously. They typically do power rankings as well for NBA and NHL. Of course, I hear a lot more complaints out of the NHL rankings nowadays. And recently, the St. Louis Blues, and yes, I'm defending the Blues again, had a wonderful 3-game stretch where they beat the Blackhawks, the Stars, and the Ducks. Oh, by the way, 2 of those teams were ahead of them in the rankings. They moved up 1 spot to 4th, while the Blackhawks, who not only lost to the Blues, but also the Stars, moved up 2 spots. Now what's up with that? I did some research, and it turns out that the person responsible for this week's power rankings is also the same guy who sent the Blues down to 18th earlier this season, behind a bunch of teams with losing records who, today, are where they rightfully belong, in the basement. His name is Joe McDonald. And my creator, who was a diehard hockey fan, God rest his soul, ripped on him, and quite frankly, I agree with him. Joe McDonald is a big fucking buffoon. Yeah, that's right. I used the F word. Sorry, mommy. But this is bullshit. The Blues should be ranked higher. I don't care if they lost last night. They should have been moving up to number 2 this week after the week they had a week ago. But no, Joe McDonald's a bunch of bullshit. And apparently he worked his way up from ESPN Boston, which makes a hind sense from his earlier rankings since he put all the East Coast teams up behind of the Blues. What is it? What did he do? Put the West Coast team down at the bottom because he's not that popular for the West Coast? Jesus Christ. Seriously, ESPN needs to change their staff. Get rid of the stupid morons that don't know crap and make way for the likes of, well, my creator, for instance. He knows a lot about sports. Hell, his brother knows a lot about sports. His buddies know a lot about sports. This guy knows squat about sports. Once again, proving that ESPN is the worldwide leader in being biased about the popular sports. Or being biased for teams in the sport that they don't even give a crap about, but yet there are people who do care about hockey, and I appreciate them for caring about hockey. Because this is America. We have the freedom to choose whichever sports we like. You notice how they rarely cover NASCAR now that they no longer televise NASCAR? The only reason they gave a crap about NASCAR was because they were broadcasting NASCAR at one point. Now they don't even give a fuck because NASCAR is no longer televised on ESPN. You see where I'm going about this? Yet they have time to show bowling on Sundays and not even talk about it on SportsCenter. What's up with that? I know this is nothing but rambling on and off and on and off, and I know I could do this in just about any other time in the world, but quite frankly, I felt like this is the straw that broke the camel's back. It's time for ESPN to make some changes. And I know they've been making some changes to their SportsCenter schedule, but quite frankly, you need to adjust what you're going to talk about in SportsCenter, like, oh, I don't know, every freaking sport that you can think of. If not, then you gotta get rid of your stinking mono. Because there's no point of having the worldwide leader in sport when you don't cover every stinking sport. You rarely talk about soccer, except for when the World Cup comes around. You rarely talk about hockey, and even when you do talk about hockey, you rarely show all the good teams. You rarely talk about bowling, even though you show bowling on Sundays. You rarely talk about NASCAR. You rarely talk about cricket, because quite frankly, there are some people who care about cricket. I personally don't, but there are others that do, and they're probably whining and complaining, saying, why isn't ESPN showing cricket? I thought they were the worldwide leader in sports. So ESPN, let this be a rude wake-up call for you. Change the way you cover sports, or change your fucking motto. The choice is yours. I've already gotten to the Weather Channel and ABC Family, and they changed their stuff in light of my videos. Now it's time to take you on. So you be the call. Otherwise, I have no choice but to come down to Bristol, freaking fire all of you, run ESPN in the way it's supposed to be run, and by some stroke of genius luck, have a radio show that's on the same time as Coward that can actually compete with Colin Cowherd's show. Because Dan Lemonstart is a fucking dumbass. Yeah, that's right. He's biased for Miami stuff, which further proves my point. So you be the big boy, ESPN. Either you make these changes yourself based on my video, or I'll make the changes for you. It's up to you. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want you to choose the latter. You wouldn't like what would happen in the latter decision. Just so you know. I'm the CommanderZander. I remember until the nostalgia Greg doesn't have to, and neither should you.